My pronoun, the recording is in progress. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a fourth year PhD candidate within the Faculty of Information with dual specializations in sexual diversity studies and knowledge media design. Patrick is my supervisor. I'm also a professional multidisciplinary artist, and my research has to do with queering artistic technologies, queer phenomenologies, and queer feminist practices of making and repair within tech. So that's me.
Great, thanks, Camille. Is Ramaravind here? No, he had said he was coming, but it's also a busy week for us. So, and then why don't I have Andrea introduce herself?
Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Andrea DiBiase, and I'm the Associate Registrar, Recruitment and Admissions here in the Faculty of Information. So if you've ever emailed about or had admission questions, it was likely me responding to you. And I'm very happy to have you join us this evening or morning or whatever time it is for you.
Great. Thanks, Andrea. Christine.
Hi there, I'm Christine. I'm the Acting Associate Registrar Student Services side of things. So I help when you've become more of a current student, when you're transitioning to become a current student. But I work very closely with Andrea as well.
Great, thanks. And probably Christine knows more about the PhD program than anyone else here. So thank you both for coming. All right, we'll just start with some sort of fun facts about the program, and I'll run through some basic ideas about what it is and what we do. We basically study the intersection of information, culture, technology, people, and communities. And we're looking for outstanding students from all over the world to join our diverse network of passionate scholars here in Toronto. We are part of a really dynamic international research community. We offer a structured PhD program with an innovative curriculum, which we're actually updating this year, which won't affect you because the process for doing that is so slow. But we're always rethinking our curriculum. We have more than 70 distinguished faculty members who are graduate appointed to the Faculty of Information. You can find all of their profiles on our website. So there's a huge range of research that takes place here. And I think it's probably one of the most dynamic places on campus. We're interested in challenging and cutting edge projects. We are in the heart of one of the most global cities in North America, or really anywhere in the world. We offer individual supervision and mentoring, and we offer full funding. And we'll get to the specifics of funding in a minute. As I said, we have a huge range of research here. And this last summer, the faculty actually put together certain sort of research areas, research clusters that we identified with. And you can take a look at some of them here. I won't name them all, but artificial intelligence, data and society, GLAM, which is galleries, libraries, archives, and museums, media and communications, design studies, but we also do things like social theory and critique, and gender, sexuality, and race. This is all listed on our website, and we're happy to link to that. And we can talk more about any one of these areas and point you to the faculty members that identify with that area, which is also on the website. So we have a range of centers, labs, and institutes. The Center for Culture and Technology, which was originally founded by Marshall McLuhan in the 1960s. It continues today, and some of its traditions, including the Monday night seminar, still happens all these decades later. The Communication Organization Knowledge Information Ecosystem Group, run by Anastasia Kuzminich, a colleague of ours. It often deals with a lot of questions around artificial intelligence, and you can look at her profile for more about that lab. The Critical Making Lab, which is a makerspace, but that has a kind of critical reflective element to it. The Digital Curation Lab, which deals a lot with digital preservation issues. The Human-Centered Data Science Lab, I feel like that's pretty straightforward. It's got a pretty straightforward, but it's a data science lab, but it's obviously focused on a lot of human-centered problems. just sustainability design, which is about sustainability in design. Kids Play Tech Lab, also pretty straightforward. That's about children's media cultures. The Knowledge Media Design Institute, which is a research hub for a number of labs and offers a range of supports. The Technoscience Research Unit is a feminist, queer, indigenous science and technology studies lab. And the Street Lab, which is a design justice lab. This is the program timetable. If you enter our program, basically it's a 4-year program, though we also feel that 5 years is perfectly reasonable. For the first year, you'll basically be doing coursework. And again, all of this is on the website, so you're free to look at it. In the second year, you take a year-long reading course where you just do intensive reading with a faculty member, usually your supervisor. And at the end of that, you then write a qualifying exam. And then in the third year, you're expected to defend your thesis proposal. A lot of students do that sooner so that they actually spend a lot of their third year writing. And then in the fourth year, you're just supposed to write or do data collection for your research. Again, as I say, it's totally acceptable to do 5 years, and a lot of students do 5 years. Base funding, the faculty pays, I shouldn't say waives, the faculty pays for your tuition and fees for all students, domestic and international, for the first 5 years of the program. In addition, a student receives a minimum base funding of $18,500 for 4 years, which comes in the form of a TA-ship and faculty scholarship. In some cases, faculty members use their grants to fund a student's base funding, sometimes even including tuition and fees. And in these cases, sometimes the student's base funding will actually be greater than the minimum. And then in some other cases in which students receive SHRC and NSERC fellowships, those students also, because the faculty tops up that money with an excellence award, those students also receive above the base funding. And what we mean by base funding is that that's the that's the lowest you can go. You're expected to build on top of that. So it acts as a kind of floor. And it's on that floor that you can add things like research assistantships, external grants, award scholarships, fellowships, and additional TA-ships from any unit across campus or outside the university. In other words, it's base funding plus additional funding that constitutes your income here and your ability to live in Toronto, which we recognize as an increasingly expensive city. The faculty pays for tuition and fees in your 5th year as well, for all students in good standing. And any student who previously accepted a TA-ship is guaranteed a TA-ship in their 5th year and subsequent years. In addition, students can apply for a one-time dissertation completion award in their final year, and many students take this in their 5th year. And the faculty is always seeking ways to increase PhD student funding. I'm gonna just highlight some of the things that we'll need for admissions, and then I'm going to ask our admissions team if they have anything to add. You'll need transcripts. We take a holistic view of your transcripts. Although there is an A- minimum, we're really interested in the kinds of courses you took, where you excelled, especially if it relates to what you want to do. So if you took a science class years ago, but you plan to do a social science project or a humanities project, and that science class was challenging for you years ago, don't worry, that's not going to be the thing that sinks your chances of getting in. We're really interested in a sort of holistic view of the transcripts. We look at your curriculum vitae. We're interested in sort of work experience and other kinds of experiences you have. We look at the research statement. We're really interested to know what you want to do. It's really important that we know what you want to do in order to know whether you're a good fit for us. And fit is probably our #1 criteria for getting into the program. I would strongly encourage applicants to name people that they want to work with here at the Faculty of Information in their research statement. and describe why, not just the research program you want to do, but describe why this is a good fit for you. What else do I want to say about that? We want you to be able to articulate a sort of research trajectory, but we don't expect you to have all the details of your research worked out at the time of the application. That's what the PhD program is for. We just want to make sure you have a sense of direction and momentum. A personal statement, and here you can include EDI and anything else you feel that it's important for us to know. That's equity, diversity, and inclusion, by the way. A writing sample, this is a must. At the end of the day, you're going to have to write a dissertation. It's the main thing you do in the PhD program, and there's lots of writing along the way. Your ability to write is crucial. 3 letters of reference, and 2 of them should be academic. And the third can be an Indigenous elder. It can be somebody from a professional background, whatever you think is, whoever you think is going to write a good letter for you. And then if applicable, English proficiency. Andrea, do you want to add anything to any of that?
Yeah, so I just want to say applications are now open, and the deadline to submit your application as well as all of your supporting documents is December 1st. So I can just go over just a bit more detail about what Patrick had already mentioned. So we do accept students from all academic backgrounds into our program. Admission to the PhD is very much based on the availability of a faculty member to support your research. So the more you are able to align your research with a faculty member, that you wish to work with, the better your chances of admission would be. As mentioned, A- is essentially what we're looking for your admitting degree, which would be your master's degree. If it's slightly below that, we would still encourage you to apply again, because as Patrick mentioned, they do look at files on a holistic basis. For transcripts at the time of your application, we only require unofficial transcripts at that time, which means you're going to upload copies of all post-secondary studies ever completed or attempted. So even if you took courses and did not complete a degree, we still require those transcripts. So you can upload copies of all of your undergraduate and your graduate courses, degrees, any post-secondary studies to your online application. And then if you are admitted to the program, then we will require official transcripts at that point. In order for a transcript to be considered official, it does need to come to the Faculty of Information directly from the institution, either by mail in a sealed unopened envelope or electronically through email at admissions.ischool@utoronto.ca, or through a third-party platform. So my creds or Parchment are also acceptable. 4 references for the 3 academic or 2 academic references. If you've been out of school for 5 years or more, you can substitute professional references instead of academic. Just make sure that with your professional references that you do let them know that they should focus on skills that are relevant within a graduate level program. So focusing on skills like your critical thinking or problem solving or research or writing and communication skills. Full details about what should and could go in your research statement and your statement of interest is on our website. Just so make sure you please read through that carefully, because there are complete details about what we're looking for on the website. In the actual application yourself, please upload one single document for your research statement and statement of interest. So it's going to be one PDF or Word document uploaded under the research statement tab in your online application. And if you have studied in an institution, or if you've completed an undergraduate or a graduate degree where the language of instruction and examination was in English, you may be exempt from having to provide a language proficiency test. If that applies or you have questions about that, just send us an email and we can clarify that for you.
Great. Thank you, Andrea. And is it possible, Andrea or Christine, to put the a link in the chat to the PhD page? Thanks. All right. So we're flying through. Great. We'll now have a structured panel discussion. with Fiorella, Murray, Camille, and if Maravind has joined us. I don't know if he has. And this is a chance for us to just sort of give you some tips, tell you about the PhD program. But I'm going to start, and we'll just go in order on the screen. I'm going to start with just asking our panelists, what's one unique thing about our PhD program that you think applicants can't find anywhere else? And we'll start with Fiorella.
Oh, wow, this is not an easy question, Patrick. I think what is special about us is that under one roof, which is the Faculty of Information roof, you find really a huge diversity of disciplines and approaches. So I'm not sure the same variety of disciplines is available at many schools, many universities. So this is important, I think, for a PhD, because you come in with your background and your idea of like what methodology you want to use, what kind of literature is your literature. And then normally when you come to our faculty, you realize that the literature that you are looking at is in conversation with many other areas. And so you will have, as I said, under the same roof, many professors who can guide you in discoveries of worlds that you cannot even imagine now. And that's where original research comes from, right? Because you don't want just to repeat what has already been said in a given field, but expand the knowledge and develop something new and original. So I think this is a nice thing we have. We are also very collegial, and we get along very well with each other. So it's really not a problem to like have a supervisor and then maybe find that there is another person with whom you really want to work, and then you can discuss with your supervisor and move around. And it's not really a big problem. Actually, many students do this and it works very well. This is just to start the conversation. Now I give the floor to Mireille.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Fiorella. Just to echo and build on what Fiorella had mentioned, we have such a extensive breadth of knowledge within the faculty. And so it makes picking or choosing or finding a project that you're passionate about very unique, in that you can choose a project that's situated amongst many different areas or intersects with a few different domains that outside of the faculty you may not have had a chance to explore. And I think that makes for really interesting and unique projects, and it keeps you so engaged, and you're constantly learning about all of these different domains and pulling in just knowledge from so many different aspects that you wouldn't have potentially had exposure to had you not been in the iSchool. So I think for me in my first year when I was enrolled in the program, that was something that I noticed right off the bat. The extensive knowledge is just so invaluable and so great that you really do have just a wide variety of perspective and lenses and intellect that you can really pull from.
Great, thanks. Camille.
Oh my gosh, I feel like we're all going to end up having semi-similar answers, because it is so true that the intellectual cross-pollination is without question one of the best things about this program, and it has been the best thing about this program for me. I did my degree in humanities departments where it felt like everybody read and studied the same things, and so oftentimes it felt like an echo chamber. But in my first year, I remember I was taking classes where, every week it seemed to be like a different pocket of the faculty that I would learn from. I've learned things from like data scientists and people who build robots, or which are people that I, as an artist, I never in a million years thought I would interact with. But I've learned from them and they're learning from me in ways that I never would have thought possible. So it's restored my faith in interdisciplinary education in a lot of ways, genuinely. And I'm honestly just like so inspired by my colleagues. I learn so much from them, and to see what a lot of people who graduate from this program go on to do, the different institutions that they work at, or the different jobs in research or policy that they have, it's amazing, seeing what everyone ends up doing. Like, it really feels like a highly specialized program where, everybody feels like a community or a cohort, but everyone is doing such different things and really supporting each other. And also, I will say, to add on to that, the number of like combined specialisms and institutes that you can be a part of at the University of Toronto. Like, as I said earlier, I do have collaborative specializations in knowledge media design and sexual diversity studies. There are so many other institutes that you can do that with as a part of your degree. And there's also 2 other campuses and departments that are sort of in relation to the iSchool where you can TA at, or for me, I've taught at one of those departments. And so I think that's wonderful too. There's this sort of constant cross-pollination, and I've felt it's not only like I'm confined to the iSchool, but even through other faculty members, I've had ties to other departments, other campuses, and those have been some of my best experiences. So it's been really enriching.
Great, thanks. Yeah, I agree. And it's not just, I mean, of course, the Faculty of Information, this is especially true, but the University of Toronto is just such a big place, and they have so many people, and it is one of the top universities in the world. So you know that when you're walking into any department here, you're walking into the leading researchers in that field in the world. And that makes for this really dynamic place. Everybody is really doing a lot of research here. They're highly engaged. They're often leaders in their field. And yeah, it just, it makes for this high research activity. Yeah, Camille, did you want to say something?
I was going to make one more comment, and it's
Sure.
not it doesn't feel like an institutionally sanctioned or like a very institutional answer, but genuinely everyone that I've met is really kind and really generous and really supportive. And I've been a part of institutions and departments where that genuinely really has not been the case. And it has been a competitive environment where people, you don't feel like people care about you as a person first. And at the Faculty of Information, I've really felt supported as a human being as well as a scholar. And I think that's something that I wish I would have been told when I was making this decision about what school to go to, because that's how I felt at being part of this department. And you're a part of that. So thanks, Patrick.
Oh, well, that's good to hear. I'm so glad to hear that, Camille. Yeah, I agree with Fiorella too, that it's a, everybody pretty much gets along here. And so it's a really lovely place to be. What else do I want to say? Yeah, I don't know. The resources at U of T are pretty incredible. It has, I truly mean this, like one of the best library systems in the world. I think it's the 3rd largest in the Western Hemisphere at a university after Harvard and Yale. But, the number of books is not really the extent of the resources they provide. Huge digital research infrastructures, incredible research support staff. Yeah, it's a pretty great place. Okay, so let me ask the panel now, what's one tip that you have for applying to a PhD program or applying to our PhD program? I've already told the students, and they heard it again from Andrea, be sure to name faculty members that you want to work with in your application. That's my biggest tip. Fiorella.
Yes. So I think, it's a competitive process, right? It's we will get lots of applications, and the number of places available is not known yet, I think, but it's normally not huge. So it's going to be competitive. So how do you position yourself in this competition? I think you can have like a research statement that is big, like big dream, big research ideas. You don't need to say now that like you are just tackling this little problem because in, let's say, 4 years, you cannot do more. It will be our job to narrow down your project. So if you say that you want to really resolve all the issues that archives have all over the world, I mean, this is not research plan, but so dream big. This is my suggestion. We would like to read your research statement and think, wow, if this could really be done in a PhD, this would be fantastic. Then, of course, as I said, it's a question of reducing somehow the PhD has to be manageable, right? So I would like to see an exciting proposal, something that is thinking a bit, out of the usual path and merges several disciplines together. So thinking in these terms, not just within your small field. And if you have the opportunity to, if you find that there is someone or maybe many people in the faculty who could help you develop this, I would, and Patrick, let me know if I'm wrong, I would reach out to the person that you think could be your potential supervisor and ask first if they are interested in getting new students next year and whether your research is interesting to them. So don't be shy, right? Let us know that you are out there, that you have this idea, because once you have a kind of firm interest, or someone who says, yes, if you are admitted, I will supervise you, this is big push for a proposal to be seen as a potential yes, because we don't want to have students that are admitted and then they don't find anybody who can supervise them, right? That's a big problem.
I just want to echo that, Fiorella.
Yeah.
Absolutely reach out to people, reach out to faculty members that you think would be a good fit for your project. Have a conversation with them about it in advance. As Fiorella said, if they identify you to the admissions committee as somebody they might like to work with, that really helps a lot. It helps your chances, but it also just helps the admissions committee figure out who's a good fit. Yeah, I what else do I want to say? Yeah, I agree too about think bold. We know that what you write in your research proposal is not going to be exactly what you end up doing, right? We recognize that we'll refine that idea, and there could be some things that change. But we want to see that you are intellectually curious, that there's a room for intellectual growth, and that you are passionate about research. And demonstrate some kind of record of having done some research, either writing term papers or writing a master's thesis, that helps too. So tell us a little bit about that. Let's see, Marae, do you have a tip for applying to PhD programs?
Yeah, I can speak out of experience, obviously, on this one, because I actually followed that same approach. And so when I decided that I wanted to pursue a PhD, I wanted to make sure that there is someone out there who is willing to support my research endeavors. And so it was because of the domain that I was situating myself, it's very difficult to find someone who, one, is willing to collaborate, and two, willing to take on a student who their research interests may not necessarily align. And so that initial research phase of trying to find a suitable supervisor is really important. And I would really recommend reaching out, sending out emails, finding supervisors who are interested in your research or your research topic, and have meetings with them, chat with them about potential research projects. And don't go in there, so closed-minded. I want to do X, and I'm not willing to deviate from that idea. Go in there with an open mind. They will really enlighten your project and give you some form of guidance that will help you with your application. And then, based on that meeting, take that and write it in your personal statement. Say, I met with this supervisor. You know, I think the research really complements mine. And I think that they would be a great supervisor. And we are looking at working on this project. And so really build a case for yourself with a supervisor in your personal statement. And I think that would be really helpful to show the admissions committee that you really are dedicated and you are curious and you are ready to take on this challenge and commitment by doing that initial research work. And you're not just submitting an application and, you know, just hoping for the best. Yeah, that would be my tip.
Great, thanks. Yeah, and I'll actually just quickly add to that by saying, you know, your supervisor doesn't have to, I think this echoes what Maria was saying, your supervisor doesn't have to do exactly the project you want to do. In fact, that's rarely the case that they do exactly what you want to do, but they should have some aspects of it that overlap with their own research. And in fact, it's good that you're not doing exactly what your supervisor already does. We want to create different kinds of research projects here, and we want you to be able to grow intellectually. And I think that also echoes Maria's point about, you know, things will change after you get in the program. And so what you write in your research statement, there's going to be some intellectual growth from that. And we know that when we read them. Camille, you'll go next, and then I think Ramaravind is here.
Sure. I mean, honestly, what everyone has said so far, Patrick and Fiorella and Murray, like, is really key. So yes to all of that. About naming people that you want to work with and reaching out to them beforehand and cultivating that relationship. But also, and maybe this is super obvious, but needs to be said, like, really think about why it is you want to do a PhD. Like, what is it about research that you're passionate about? And why is the iSchool the ideal place for you to conduct that project with that person? It's about building that case for yourself and showing your passion. But again, like, also really thinking about why, why you want to do this, why you want to commit to a 5-year program. And just to echo what everybody else said, like, the thing is, a lot of people do switch supervisors. I did it. It was like a big part of my first year was switching and making that decision. But they want to see that you can, like, conceive of a project that, again, they know will change, but to see your potential, that you're intellectually curious, and that you're ready to undertake that challenge of, again, like, the rigor of a 4 to 5 year program. I would also say, like, your interdisciplinarity is a strength. Like, my research statement was also about my professional work as an artist. So if you're applying and also have a professional practice that is adjacent to your work, like, you know, you totally can put that in your research statement, and that's absolutely fine. And also, I mean, thinking about where and how do you locate yourself within your work? Like, why are you the ideal person to conduct this? Like, positioning yourself well in the work, not just you find it interesting, but like, why you? Like, why are you the right person to do this? I find that that is also something that is important for this, and also for grants, things like that, that you'll apply to once you're in a PhD program. But yeah, those are my answers.
Thanks. Yeah, I think it's good to remind people that it's a big commitment getting a PhD. And so you'll want to know why you're getting it. Do you want to go into academia and make research your life? Is there some sort of opportunity outside of academia in the private sector where a PhD is helpful? So it's really important that you think about that. You don't have to have that answer now when you apply, of course. You've got time to think about it, but it shouldn't be something you apply to because you don't know what else to do, right? It's too big of a commitment for that. Ramaravind, we're answering 2 questions. One is, what's unique about this PhD program? And what tip do you have for applicants in the application process?
Thanks so much, Patrick, and sorry for the delay. There's so many unique aspects. One thing that I would like to highlight, I listened to some of the conversations by other panelists. One of the important characteristic that I found is that each faculty does not majorly involve in one topic. Each faculty has a diverse topics that they're interested in. if you look at, so one way to think about this is look at the students of those faculty. Each of them would be studying or researching on multiple topics. So each faculty has diverse interest. So one hurdle that I faced when I was applying was that I had interest in a range of topics. So it was actually hard to write a statement that had a single purpose of research, right? So, but it's okay if you have diverse perspectives, if you have diverse interest. Just mention that coherently and try to articulate in a way that you are passionate about multiple things. And also it's okay to be interested in the research of more than one professors, because the more the overlap, I guess the chances are higher. It's not a direct correlation, but I guess there's a good chances, because if more people are interested, then you have more chances of conducting research with many. And in the end, it's about writing and articulating a research. So if your research is diverse, that's actually a plus, I would suggest. And iSchool encourages diversity. So one suggestion I have is try to include don't cut down few aspects of your research thinking that you need to focus one thing on your research statement. I would suggest that having interest in diverse topics is also good. Yeah.
Patrick, you're muted.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so that concludes the panel discussion. I think we will open it up for Q&A at this time. I saw some questions in the chat. I don't know if everybody is following along in the chat. Some of the questions included, how many spots do we have every year for PhD students? It varies. As Andrea DiBiase said, it changes each year, approximately 13 to 15. I think that's true. There's the possibility it could be slightly higher, but we don't promise anything. Can I get a conditional? So why don't we read some of these out, and then we'll open it up. Let's see.
I think I've answered most of them. There's just a few I haven't. So one of them, I understand that pursuing a PhD is a big effort, but are there any constraints about joining the PhD program while maintaining my full-time job, considering that the company I work for is very flexible, including reducing the workload?
I think it's very, very difficult to work full-time and do a PhD full-time. We don't offer a part-time program. And I would discourage you from getting a PhD full-time while working full-time. When that's happened in the past, it's been a real struggle, even when employers are flexible. And we also, there's a range of events, including, as I mentioned earlier, the Center for Culture and Technology, which is a research center here that hosts many of our events. It probably hosts most of our events. We're awash in intellectual activity, and you're expected to participate in the intellectual life of the faculty. In addition to going to courses, in addition to, doing research and writing the dissertation and all of that. So. Okay. I don't know which other ones we answered, but would you recommend reaching out to a supervisor before applying? Yes. It's not required, no.
Approximately when does the session start if we submit an application for admission now? September start only. We have one intake per year.
I also I see a couple questions about publications, whether about submitting publications for your application. And I said, just so that you guys know, I didn't have any publications, things published, academic articles when I applied, and I was still accepted. My writing sample was actually from an essay that I wrote for my master's. So I have to provide a published article. So that's not a requirement, just so that you guys know.
it is not typical for an applicant to already have a peer-reviewed academic publication. That's not to say that it doesn't happen. There are folks who sometimes manage to do that as a master's student, but it's not common, and we certainly don't expect it. Of course, it's a shiny thing on your CV. If you do have one, it won't hurt.
I also would love to touch on this question of does the iSchool encourage interdisciplinary research and study? If possible, I'd like to attend lectures within the university or engage in discussions with researchers from those
Oh,
fields.
yes.
Just so you guys know, also just as a little anecdote, several of my, I think more than one, maybe two of my electives were taken from other faculties, and that was totally fine. So you can take classes or even audit or even for an actual course credit from other faculties that aren't within the Faculty of Information. That's totally fine. You just have to fill out a form to do it. And that was great. So I really enjoyed that because I could there were classes from other faculties and departments that I really wanted to take, and that wasn't an issue. So the answer is yes.
Andrea, I don't know if you saw the question about English proficiency. Can they take it can they be given a conditional offer?
I responded. Yeah.
Oh, you responded. Okay.
Yeah.
If I could, like, there was one question about, like, not all the research areas were available on the application, only a handful are there. The best way is to reach out to the professor or the students of the professors and inquire what are the research areas they're working on, because the websites, some of the websites of the faculty are not regularly updated, so it'd be a good idea to reach out and via email and ask that. Yeah.
And if you want to know more about what it's like to be a PhD student here, you can always reach out to PhD students in the program. Their names are on the website. If there's a particular supervisor you're thinking of working with, or some faculty members you're thinking of working with, ask them if they're willing to put you in touch with their students, in case you don't want to, like, cold call anybody. Are there other questions? You're welcome to ask them out loud as well.
Sorry, I just have a quick question. I'm not sure if this was brought up before, but how many people do you relatively accept? I know it depends on the funding and maybe supervisors.
It varies from year to year, but we usually accept around 13 to 15. It could be slightly higher this year. We'll see.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And I'm probably going to mess up your name, but it's Loisos. Is that your name? You have your hand raised.
Yes. I wanted to ask, so I'm currently a student at U Chicago, the main computational social science program. And even though my background is a bit more on the technical side, I have a strong interest in critical approaches to the relationship between society and technology. My thesis being in essentially studying pornographic online platforms. So my question is, would your program be a good fit for someone like me who has a technical background, but has also a strong interest in these theoretical, let's say, studies of technology? Or are you looking for someone who already has this theoretical background built up?
I think our program is probably perfect for you. We have students who come from technical backgrounds. We have students who come from the humanities and social sciences. And we recognize that they have strengths in some areas and not in others. And the program offers courses in so both the technical and the sort of social and critique. Of course, if you come out of technical, you're going to just naturally have more technical knowledge, and you might feel like you're playing catch up with the social and cultural, and vice versa. But it's not just, in addition to our department, you can take classes in any department at the University of Toronto at the graduate level, obviously. And so if you wanted to take a class on anthropology of technology, you could do that. If there's a class in the philosophy department, again, those would be perfect. So yeah.
Just to add on to that, like I come from a computer science background, and this program is really good if you're interested at the intersection of computer science and social science, because you can, as Patrick said, you can take classes from other faculties and also collaborate with other faculties from other departments. So that's possible, and this is really unique because you get to engage with technical work and also with critical work. So that's, I guess, it's a unique characteristic, and this program really supports it. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of the things that we excel at is the sort of bridging of these worlds. So, Alina.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
I just need some more clarifications about the personal statement and research statement. So based on my understanding, personal statement is about your like personal background, but I saw from the webpage, the written requirements that said the research statement also need to include the personal background. So I just want to double check if.
We'll update that. At one time, we combined the research statement and personal statement. We're handling them separately this year. So we'll update the website. If you could tell us where on the website you saw that, we'll make sure it gets updated. But they are two separate statements.
Okay, so basically research statement is your research interest and about your potential supervisor, and and personal statement is about your research interest, like I mean personal background, right?
Yeah, personal background. It can also be about experiences that led you to pursue this area of research. It's pretty wide ranging. What do you want us to know about you that you think will help us determine whether you're a good fit for the program?
Okay, thank you so much. So when I upload this document, they should be combined in one, right? To some.
Andrea, do they need to combine them or? So I think Andrea DiBiase, the question is, when they submit their application, do they need to combine all of their documents into a PDF, or can they submit them as separate documents?
The only thing that has to be combined is the research statement, and the statement of interest has to be combined in one document and uploaded as one document.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. I actually also have a question about the transcript, because I finished my undergrad and get my master's degrees at the same university. Do you want to see both of my undergraduate transcript and my master's transcript?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much.
So let's see. I'm gonna quickly go to the chat since there's some that we haven't answered from there in a while. I have a full-time job, so I just want to make sure that you're not looking for part-time students, and there is no way for students with jobs to join. We don't have a part-time program. And so the outline, the timetable I provided is the timetable we would expect all students to adhere to. And we consider this a full-time job. And it's a job that will require you to participate in the intellectual life of the faculty, which could mean courses during the day. Maybe there's a talk you want to go to that starts at 4 p.m. and runs to 6. There aren't a lot of evening events, but there are sometimes courses in the evening. It just depends on the, the university is a big place and scheduling things can be tricky, but we do consider this a full-time job. Okay, so I'll go back and I'll try to go back and forth. So Dina.
Yes, sorry. So good question. So right now I'm a current TA at U of T actually. So how does it look like with the funding in that sense? So I didn't really understand. So does that mean that whatever we get paid through the TA-ship goes towards the funding for the program? Or is that like our disposable income from the TA-ship?
So there's a base funding that includes a TA-ship. but then you can get additional TA-ships on top of that, which would be disposable. That's for a typical student. That's for a typical student. There are exceptions where some students maybe don't need additional TA-ships because they have RA-ships, or they're working with a supervisor who's on who has a large grant, and so you know, it's hard to give a standard answer other than to say there is a TA-ship that's provided as part of the base funding. It's important that students get teaching experience while they're here. If you want more than one TA-ship a year, you're more than welcome to do that. We don't have a shortage of TA-ships. But you should, and this would be a problem only if you got in, you should really talk to your supervisor. It's really important that students are in contact with their supervisor about the amount of work they're taking on. Because sometimes students, when left to their own devices, will just take on too much.
Yes, so the TA-ships that are provided are through iSchool, because I do it at UTM with the Culture, Communication, Information Technology department. So for example, do you kind of pick where you do it, or the TA-ships that's provided through the iSchool has to be
So
denied?
the TA-ship that's part of your base funding, we're getting really detailed now. The TA-ship that's part of your base funding, that is allocated by the department where your supervisor is primarily
Okay.
appointed. So
Right.
if you're working with somebody at ICCIT, the TA-ship would come from there. But for
Okay.
any additional TA-ships you want to take on, they can come from anywhere.
Makes
So you can apply for stuff in the Faculty of Information downtown. You can apply for stuff in other departments even.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So I'm going to quickly go back to the chat and get just trying to see if I missed any. Minimum GPA, I think we went over that. A-. But again, we take a holistic approach. If I am not seeing your question in the chat and we haven't answered it, please raise your hands and let us know. Cassidy.
Hi. So my background is in computational linguistics, and I'm wondering how do I choose between information science and linguistics? So I'm looking for a program.
Oh, I mean, that's a great question. Well, I think it depends on whether there's somebody in this department that you want to work with. I think that's what it should come down to, and not necessarily the field. I think a lot of students make mistakes of, well, I mean, even when I was an undergrad, I learned that I didn't have to get a PhD in the thing that I majored in, right? I think the number one thing you want to do is find somebody that you want to work with, that's a good fit or that's exciting to work with. Yeah, I think it's so I kind of leave that to you to determine whether it's going to be somebody who happens to be in linguistics or happens to be in information science.
Yeah, I would also add to this that maybe it also depends on the emphasis you want to give to your project. So let's say you have a strong background now in linguistics and you want to work with me on how language and translation shapes the archival field, right? This is what I'm not a linguist, but I'm very interested in linguistics, and I'm looking at ways of challenging a bit the use of English as a lingua franca for all we do. And so just it depends, yes, on if you want to continue to be like a strong linguist, maybe then you shouldn't come to us.
Yeah, it's true. The cross-pollination can add new texture to your research area. So it's something to keep in mind. So, okay, is there a high chance of being rejected due to other conditions even after reaching out? Well, the program is very competitive. So even if you reach out to a supervisor and talk to them and they say, you know, it would be great to work with you, I hope you get in, right? There are no guarantees. There's a committee that handles admissions, and they adjudicate all applications. So just because a faculty member wants to work with you, there's still a process that has to take place. Okay, Anna.
Hi, thanks for hosting this webinar. I did ask a question about transfer credits, and I was shown a link to a page, and it seems like they're saying, you know, any credits that were used before and other programs that were not that were applied as part of the degree won't be used. So that's something new to me. I just want to clarify that it is my understanding is correct. And my second question has to do with, you know, any limitation to do with or sensitivity to do with research topics, especially when we're dealing with, you know, critical theory, social manifestation from, you know, information policy and whatnot. You know, there could be things related to political discourse, public discourse, propaganda, all of those. Is the iSchool okay with approaching those, or are there, you know, funding limitations, as in we don't want to step on people's toes and therefore some topics we shy away from? Sorry.
I mean, this place is, I'm, and if anybody can speak to this, it's me. It is incredibly broad-minded and it is fearless. So I study the sex industries, and that often means working with a lot of people in the pornography industry. And in my job talk, to get the job here, I was very upfront about the research I did. So I think it is a place that welcomes lots of different questions. And I think that we've tried to create a place that is open and safe for everyone to engage with the things that are meaningful to them. For our potential students, could you please describe the first year of PhD life in information studies? So that first year is a lot of coursework. And I'll defer to the PhD students to say more, but basically the courses help you to not only learn specific topics, but and provide a foundation for your readings and your dissertation going forward. But it also helps to create a sense of community and a sense of cohort. Murray, Camille, Ramaravan, do you guys want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I
First-
responded to this question in the chat, and I said, I reiterated kind of what you said, that the first year was mostly coursework. I took about 2 to 3 classes a term, which is pretty normal. But really, it's a year of discovery. Not only meeting your cohort, but you're gonna have a lot of different things thrown at you from a lot of different disciplines within the Faculty of Information. The first year mandatory iSchool course, which Patrick, I don't know if you still teach it, but Patrick taught it when I was a first year. It's like every single week you get another faculty member from the iSchool in to tell you about their work. And so you really get an idea in that first year of the wide breadth of research being undertaken at that institute. And for me, I came out of my first year with like a whole new research idea, a whole new direction. I switched supervisors after my first year, which was really awesome. And then it's funny to see that like most people in my cohort did the same thing. Like after that first year, after they were exposed to so many different things, so many new research ideas, they switched what they wanted to do as well. And so it is a year of growth and development and learning, and just having a lot of stuff thrown at you and taking a lot of it in and then deciding what you want to do with it. That really is what the first year felt like to me. And then echoing what you said about building community and just getting settled into life at the iSchool. That is the first year.
Great. Aisha, am I saying that right? Your hand is raised, Aisha K.
Yes, yeah, thank you. So I have a few questions. One is that you don't have a part-time program. I think you've clarified that. I also wanted to ask, is there like an average age of the students that you take in? I would be a mature student. I already have 3 masters. So would you be looking at students like that, or is there a restriction? And then this is an important question, that my undergrad degree is from another country, and it's really hard to get that degree. But given that I have a Canadian master's, I have an American master's, would you take those degrees because they've been verified, like, you know, and would that be acceptable for admissions?
So age is not a factor in our admissions decision. And we have international students with no Canadian degrees in the program. So it's not a problem. We have students from all over the world.
No, but what I meant was it would be hard for me to get the transcript
Oh,
of
I
my
see.
undergraduate from that institution because it's a nightmare and it would be really hard to do that sitting in Canada. And so, but I have 3 masters, and those masters obviously have verified my undergrad degree. And yeah, so would that suffice?
Andrea, I'm gonna let you handle that.
Yeah, send me an email, admissions.ischool@utoronto.ca, and I can let you know what your options are.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Angela.
Yeah. Hello, good evening to you all.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you. So during the application process, I realized there wasn't a portion for one to upload the personal statement. So I think I sent an email to the faculty, which Andrea responded to and said we had to combine the documents into one PDF. And running along, I wasn't seeing the writing sample, and so the fear of completing the application without the writing sample set in. So for me, I ended up combining the research statement, the personal statement, and the writing sample into one document and uploaded it. It was when I got to the review section that I noticed there was a red flag that I hadn't submitted the writing sample. And so I did upload the writing sample again, and then it ticked that all my documents had been received. And so I wanted to find out, that having, made such a mistake. I mean, I was really scared. I didn't know, I had no idea that the writing sample would be at the end of I thought review is like, I'm going to review what I have, all that I have uploaded or what I've applied for. I didn't think the writing sample would be, at the review section. So would that be a problem?
I don't think
Not
so.
at all. It's not a problem at all. Whether you uploaded it as one document with your writing statement is fine, or even uploaded it afterwards. Both options are perfectly fine. Don't worry about it. Don't stress.
All right. And hi to Professor Fiorella Fuscarini.
Great. So somebody was asking whether we have digital governance and electronic governance here. There are definitely policy people. We're even making a tenure track hire in policy studies this year. So policy is something that we do. I don't know of anybody who has a lab in it specifically, but yeah, there are people here who are policy experts. Dan.
Hi, thank you for the information session. So I just had 2 quick questions. I think one got lost in the chat. One that got lost was if we've completed or are completing a double master's for the academic history section of the admission application, what do you upload them as separate items, each master separately, or do you upload them within the same institutional line item, I guess?
Andrea, do you know what he's asking?
Sorry. So I'm sorry, you completed, I missed the first part. You completed 2 masters in one at one institution?
Yeah, it's a double master program.
Yeah. it doesn't really matter what you put there. Just upload your transcript that has the courses and grades completed from both of those masters. That's really all we need.
Okay, perfect. And then the other question I had was with respect to reaching out to faculty. If I've already reached out to faculty members about being a supervisor, I noticed on the application, on the online application again, that it said, asks you about faculty that could sit on your PhD committee. Should I be reaching out to them too?
It's kind of the same folks. So if you reach out to more than one person, only usually one person typically is a supervisor, and anybody else is just on the committee. But you don't have to have all of that sorted right now. You just need, I would say, a couple of people at least that you think you want to work with.
And I should reach out to all of them. It's not just like a hypothetical, like I've seen this person's work and I would like to, like, you recommend reaching out to anyone that I would list on that form.
I don't want to create a ton of work for you. You can if you want, but
Patrick,
yeah.
Sorry, I would just say, if you reach out to one and this person tells you, I don't take new students, then go to the second. But if you get a positive answer, I think you don't need to reach out to another professor, right? You know that this one said yes. You can list other names. It's good to know, you know, that you can work with many people, not just one. But if the first person you approach said, yes, you're great, I want to work with you, I think it's one is enough, right?
Yeah, one's enough. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Somebody was saying that they did a professional master's. I don't know if we answered this one already, and that they don't have a research writing sample. The writing sample doesn't have to be an original research paper. Lots of people don't have that, even if they came out of a research master's program. Sometimes unless they did a thesis. Yeah, the point of the writing sample is to gauge your writing skills. So yeah. Samia.
Hi, good evening. I just want to ask that I have talked to a supervisor and she agreed to supervise me. But I didn't talk about the funding or, you know, covering the tuition fees, health insurance, or living expenses. So do I need to apply for scholarships or, you know, funding, or my supervisor will manage that for me?
So if you get into the program, you're guaranteed that base funding, and students then build on top of it. So there's funding here. And as for moving expenses, the department has a moving expenses fund. We can help with that.
Okay, and what about health insurance?
Andrea or Christine, does anybody know how health insurance works? This might be a Christine question. I don't know if she's still with us.
Hi, yes. For domestic students, there is health insurance. Everybody pays into the health insurance. We cover it if it's an international student. For international students, it's called UHIP, and we cover that.
Yeah.
Oh, so I don't need to apply for anything for, you know, do I need to apply for this funding, or it will be automatically?
Yeah, you automatically get UHIP just by being in the program.
Oh, thank you so much.
Just to add on that, like if you are a teaching assistant, which you will be like in the first few years, you get additional benefits from the student unions here that they cover medicine cost, I guess, and it's excellent. Like in addition to you, yeah.
Thank you.
So we'll go to Omid.
Yeah. Hello. Good evening.
Hi. Hello.
Yeah, my question is about, I have a 2 semester. My first semester is about urban design, and my GPA is 4 out of 4. In my second semester, it's about HCI, and my GPA is 3.4 out of 4, but it's not finished yet. So what happened for my, my application? Because the minimum is A-.
So we take a holistic approach. We encourage you to apply. I say this as an American, an A- in Canada is not the same as it is in other countries. But we strongly encourage you to apply anyway.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, grades, while there's something we look at, we don't put a huge emphasis on them.
Okay, thanks. And another question is about application. It's about publication. If we have a publication in the journal paper, but it's a different subject, because my first semester is about urban design, and I have some paper it's about AI and solar radiation in the top journal. It's make a competition or make a better my publication, my application.
Yeah, are you talking for your writing sample? The main purpose of the writing sample is to get a feel for your writing skills. We're not necessarily expecting it to be on even exactly the topic you're proposing to come study with us. It can just like Camille did, it can just be a paper that you wrote for a class if you want.
Okay, thank you.
Charu.
Hi, I think my question got lost in the chat, or it's already been answered, but I'd just rather ask again. Do you guys offer deferrals in the case that accepted candidates cannot start studies in 2024?
I would imagine. Andrea, Christine.
It would depend on extenuating circumstances. So you would have to
Okay, I didn't hear that last part. That might have been me, but extenuating circumstances. Okay.
Right.
And then I just had another question just on funding. I just saw in the chat that if you get external funding like SHRC, does that decrease your base amount that iSchool gives you?
So if you get a SHRC or an NSERC grant, the base funding, it covers the base funding. It's in lieu of that, plus the faculty gives you an excellence award, which actually increases the amount you would normally get for base funding.
Okay, understood. And then from my understanding, I think SHRC applications are already like the deadline's passed, I think, right, for U of T for next year, I think. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And most people don't apply before they come in to the program, so you would be typical.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Angela.
Yeah, thank you. So for a foreign student like myself, if I'm accepted, I want to find out how accommodation is like. Are you going to have accommodation on campus, or you'd have to look for your own accommodation?
So there's resources here at the university that can help with finding accommodation, and there's also graduate housing at the university. We would have to put you in touch with those resources after you get admitted. I'm sort of blanking on who helps the students with this because it's a separate office for faculty, but I always just contact the Doctoral Students Association, and then they basically tell the student where to go.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Kate.
You're on mute.
Kate, you're muted.
Oh, my question is similar to Angela's question. So I already submitted my application, and then I found I cannot upload the statement of interest. So I come by the writing sample and the statement of interest. And then when I review the website, I found you need to come by the research statement and the statement of interest. So for now, do I need to make a new file to upload
No,
this
definitely not.
combination?
Nope, definitely not. As long as all of the pieces are there somehow, it's perfectly fine.
Okay, thank you so much.
Nibras.
Hi, thank you for organizing this session. I have a question regarding the statement of contribution for the writing sample. Do you have any suggestion or template or guideline for that?
For the writing sample, well,
no, actually for the statement of contributions part.
So the research statement or the personal statement?
On the website under the writing sample, there is a section that mentioned if you submit a collaboratively authored sample, please include a statement of contribution that explains your role.
Oh, I think this is if you submit a writing sample where you're a co-author.
Yes.
Normally you would just include a few sentences explaining how much of the writing you did.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's multiple authored things is common in the sciences. So are there any other questions or anything we didn't get to in the chat? Going through.
Sorry, there was one question about someone saying they would have government funding, but the tuition academic fees, like how does having external funding increase the chances of getting admission, and also how much their tuition and academic fees would vary? So
it does not increase your chances of admissions. We adjudicate all applications the same. Whether you're on a faculty member's grant can factor into the admissions decision. But the idea is not in that case that you would, the idea in that case is that we would hopefully increase the number of students we can take if a faculty member has a grant large enough to fund you for the entire time. If you come in with your own external funding, it's something you should mention, but it's not something that will determine admissions. Raphael.
Hi, I'm not sure if you covered this, but because I have been studying in the States for my undergrad and master, so I'm not too sure if I apply to high school in the future. Do I need to take GRE, GMAT, or any standardized examination for that? Or
no.
Okay, thank you.
I know, it's nice. I remember having to take
it's really good to not take GRE and GMAT. It saves up a long time and you can do it for other stuff. Thank you.
My research interests include diversity inclusion in generative AI. However, I see academic programs differ in their regional versus global approach to cultural diversity. How does the iSchool navigate this spectrum? This is a very international department, and there are faculty members with interests in research interests in lots of different parts of the world. If you're interested in studying a particular part of the world, then I would see if there's a faculty member here who is studying that area. The co-authored thing, co-authored publications, yes, you can. And I think we talked about how the the platform asks you to explain the level of your contribution to a co-authored writing sample. Is there a limit on the number of how many applications I can submit to U of T? Not that I know of, but maybe Andrea already answered that. Oh, no
Yeah,
limit.
I answered no.
Sorry, I know I'm being redundant. Okay, so are there any others? I think we're caught up on chat.
There is a question, sorry, about the last one, about co-supervision. So like a professor from the high school and CS, yes, I would say we do co-supervision also with professors in other faculties or other parts of the university. So it is possible.
Yeah, that's not a problem. You'll just want to talk to both people about it. Not everybody wants to co-supervise. It can be a little more work for them, but it's also pretty common. So. Any other questions? Okay, well, if you do have any other questions, I'm going to put, oh, here's one. Great. If you do have any other questions, I'll just put the admissions.iSchool@UToronto is the best way to reach us and ask any follow-up questions, or if there's anything confusing about the platform or you need any help submitting your application. And we already linked to the PhD website, but I'll do it just one more time. Oops. So that you can see our research clusters and see which faculty members are affiliated with which research clusters. There's also information on that site about the institutes and labs, about how to apply, sort of a range of information. And if you need to know more, just let us know. Oh, Andrea, you did. You were faster than me. Okay. All right. Thank you all so much. And I especially want to thank the panelists for coming today, and for Andrea and Christine for spending time. I know that you work a lot during the day, so showing up to an evening thing is not always easy. And I want to thank all of you for spending time with us and letting us answer your questions. And I hope everybody has a good night or day, depending on where they are. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.